It is a welcoming pleasure to welcome the band The Paper Canoes from Newfoundland and Labrador to this podcast. They are Owen Sinyard on vocals and guitar, Evan Boland on piano and vocals, Becca Bartlett on bass, and Mason Mercer on drums. I hope I get all of you guys' names correctly. Welcome
Yeah,
to the
Yep.
podcast.
thank
Thank
you.
you
so
for
much
having
for
us.
Yes, and Becca, welcome back to the show. Uh, yeah, I've had you on the program last year, so it's a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Hope my band lives up to the hype.
Okay, so if you can each introduce yourself, just so that those in listening via the audio can know which one you are.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess I'll start because I have the microphone here. So, my name is Evan Boland. I'm 19 years old, a vocalist and pianist for the Paper Canoes.
Mhm.
I'm Mason Mercer. I'm the drummer for the Paper Canoes and drumming for 11 years and I've been waiting for a band for a while now. Finally came true. It's a dream come true and it's just the dream team here. We got some good stuff.
Hello, you wonderful people. I am Owen Sinyard of the Paper Canoes. I sing and play guitar, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm really glad to have you listening to us here today. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Hello again. I'm Becca Bartlett. I'm 20. Am I 20? Yeah, I'm 20.
Whoa.
And I play bass in the Paper Canoes, and I sing and play a few other instruments, otherwise in my life. But yeah, it's been really great to get to jam with these guys and finally start doing shows together. Yeah, they really are the dream team.
Wonderful. So, Becca, are you turning 20 or were you 20 last year?
I've been 20 for a few months now, getting used
Wonderful.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
21 this year.
crazy. I'm the oldie of the group. I'm the grandma.
The
That's
grandma.
1 year.
when's your birthday?
Even my mom's.
July 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's on October.
Nice.
Same.
That's
Oh,
fun.
really? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twins.
Tell us all about your respective birthdays then.
About our birthdays?
Yeah, like what's your birthdays respectively?
Oh yes, what are your birthdays?
Oh, okay. So, I'm in March. I'm on the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
What's your star sign?
Really?
Let people judge you.
I don't know. Do you know? Like, would you know what the 7th of March is?
I don't. No.
Oh,
Really testing my
I used to
knowledge.
know what it was. I don't remember.
I actually forgot to mention my age. I'm 19 and I was born August 5th.
Happy birthday. Are you a Cancer?
And I was born in October of the 12th. I'm a Libra.
That makes sense.
I like to weigh things, I think. Like put them on a scale. I think I'm not sure.
And I'm a Leo, which makes sense because I have like big hair or like a lot of it. I don't know that much about astrology, but I do think it's kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah, me neither. I think I read because since this is a philosophy podcast, I read in a book by Saint Augustine, which is a famous Western Christian thinker, where he debunks the concept of astrology. He recounts a story in which he and a slave person was born at the same minute, at the same hour, at the same day, at the same time, and they end up having different fates. And you must remember he was writing in the 5th century, so they were slaves back then. So yeah,
Interesting.
but
Owen is actually he's studying philosophy.
okay,
So
so you must know
yeah,
what
he's
I'm
a great
talking
person
about.
to have on the podcast.
Yeah, so
Well,
you
I'm
must
not.
know. You must know what
I
I'm talking
don't know that specifically, but I am familiar with Saint Augustine, of course.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. I'm a fan because I I'm a big sort of Plato guy and like, the Neoplatonism sort of thing. And so Saint Augustine, kind of follows that. I mean, he is kind of like he brings a lot of that into Christianity. I'm not super, I don't know a whole lot about it. I've been waiting to get into it, but yeah, I mean, I like that about it.
Mhm. Yeah, he's one of the more readables of the philosophers, and I think even if you're not Christian, you can still get a lot of value out of that.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
All right. So my birthday is on the 18th and of October, of course. So that makes me 6 days away from you, Owen. So I wonder, have you ever looked up which famous people who have the same birthdays as you?
Oh,
I
We had
did.
somebody cool.
that sounds
We've
fun.
done this before. We all did it one time.
Okay.
It's so hard to remember.
Right.
Who do you have?
I think I had a few.
The last time I checked, I'm one day off of the birthday of Eminem. He was born on the
Nice.
No
17th.
way.
Oh, I got Woody Harrelson and some other people.
I think I'm
love
one day
Woody
on
Harrelson.
Naruto's birthday.
Image from
Of Naruto's birthday.
Yeah.
I have the same birthday as Shaquille O'Neal, which is
Nice.
pretty. That's a
Nice.
pretty good one.
Oh,
That's a
nice.
pretty.
Oh, Michelle Williams.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Michelle Williams, the actress, or from Destiny's Child?
I
It's a
believe the
great
singer.
question.
That is such a great question.
Oh, I have Hugh Jackman. That's
yes,
what it
singer.
is.
Hugh Jackman.
I got Hugh Jackman.
These long
Okay.
nails.
That's
So
pretty
it's
good.
Amazing.
Michelle Williams from
What's your birthday?
August 5th.
August 5th. I'll find out yours.
Long nails.
Yeah.
Famous birthdays.
He has other
Bobby
ones.
Braddock, Maureen McCormick, Mark Strong, Olivia Holt, Bailey
Who's
Spin.
Olivia Holt? That name's familiar.
She's in that.
Is she Disney?
She's from
She's
Family
Disney.
Channel.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to emphasize it?
Oh, I got
Olivia Holt.
Yeah. Awesome. And Hugh Johnson.
shot.
Hugh S. Johnson. So you got Hugh Jackman. He's got Hugh
Hugh
Johnson.
Johnson.
So we're a very Huey bunch.
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah,
your Huey?
I think another fun thing to do too is
pleasure.
if you look on the Billboard
pleasure.
charts and you type in your birthday and you find out which song was like topping the charts that week. I haven't done it for a while, so but you're welcome to do so.
I've seen
Like,
that before.
The exact date, month, and year too. So
Which is
What?
really funny because like I did this Google search the other day and not for the exact day, like not the year of my birthday, but the biggest song to be #1 on my birthday
Mhm.
was Bridge Over Troubled Water.
No
by
way.
Sammy
Oh, really?
Garfunkel.
And that describes
Yeah.
your life. Oh.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm looking mine up now. I think I've done this before. Mine was Crazy in Love by Beyonce.
Mhm.
That's yeah. All right, let's see. It's always interesting. I saw an activity one time with this where it's like this song that was #1 on your birthday is like it like describes your life or like describes you or something. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Oh, and
okay.
what's yours?
Yes
again?
on that.
What's yours again?
October 12th.
October 12th. Oh, spelled that wrong. Oh, wrong day.
It's gonna be something depressing.
It's going to be something.
Probably.
No, it's going to be something.
Baby Boy by Beyonce.
Yeah.
All right, Mason, you gotta remind me of yours again.
August 5th.
August 5th.
Do mine too, just for the
Yeah, for
for
sure.
the gag of it.
Yes.
gag.
August 5th, it's Crazy in Love. We got the same one.
Oh.
Wait, no, I'm still in 2003 though. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
2000.
2004. You gotta do Owen's
Oh,
2004.
you're right.
Oh.
Slow Motion.
I'm not a
by
baby boy.
Juvenile. I don't know.
Okay, well, I gotta listen to that later.
October.
That's the song where it's like in slow motion. It's all about all I know.
All right, you got.
Yeah, and that's probably the drum.
Wait, really?
Probably.
I just made that. But it was like early 2000s, gotta be like that.
Yeah.
Your song is Goodies.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Clara,
I do
featuring
enjoy
Kiki Palmer.
movies.
Yeah,
That's
you're
the
welcome.
sound
Yeah.
You're welcome
He-
to put
he does consume.
my birthday in there
Consume.
too.
He's
My birth year is 1999.
Oh, do you want me to look yours up, or do you know it?
I don't have it off the top of my head, so I encourage you to look it up.
Well, you right
Yeah.
off the bat, you get an album out of it, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. So what's yours
A
again?
couple of albums.
A few
October
albums out of it,
18th.
yeah.
October 18th. So one fun fact about me is I think I have this thing called dyscalculia, where I not only can like I can't really understand numbers when I'm reading them, they get mixed up. But if someone tells me a number, it leaves my head immediately after. That's why I have to keep asking. So what year were you born again?
1999, the final year of the millennium. That's what people
Banger.
say.
It is.
1990?
1999.
1999.
The number one.
Oh,
song.
you got Smooth by Santana. That's a great
Oh,
song.
that's great.
We've been talking about doing that.
I've been
one.
trying to get them to do it.
Yeah, I
for
like
so
that
long.
Maybe
song
this
too.
is our sign.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see like the 5-year difference. It goes from Smooth to Santana to my number one was Yeah by Usher
Yeah.
and Lil Jon.
Smooth came out deceptively late.
Big change.
It did.
Santana
did.
had a really long career,
Yeah.
like early 70s to late 90s.
Oh, they were on the go for so many different eras.
Yeah,
I
Santana's
mean,
wild.
they're
It's like
still
it's
going
like
on too. I
it's
think
like
Carlos
taking
Santana
steps.
recently released a new song.
I haven't heard it.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
it's with the guy from Run DMC. So it's
Oh, no way.
quite the
Well,
collaboration.
that's different.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. So so was Santana one of your musical influences?
For me, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say one of my musical influences. It's been, I guess, kind of recently that I've gotten into them more. I don't know about that guy.
No, well, I'll take a bit of influence from it. I like a lot of just the Latin style into it, and the hard rock, and is kind of technical. And but I mainly take a lot of influence from like Tool and Grateful Dead.
Mhm.
But I like to add a little bit of all of it into it.
And that's a funny thing to say.
It is a funny thing to say,
In your
but when you listen to them, they're actually very similar in a lot of ways,
That's really cool.
It's yeah, that's actually true.
and just in their own genre.
you have a very niche way about you that you can kind of swing things into certain type of genres. Like I
Yeah.
don't think to you put like a Spanish flair on something, you could very easily, I think, pull that
Yeah.
off.
And sometimes do that. Just, I mean, got the bass line. You guys are playing one kind of thing, and then
Yeah.
just from there, if I kind of start doing a different style, then it just breaks up the whole group and
Yeah,
then
well.
puts
He
it into a whole
He
different
can make
flow.
us reggae or metal.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the jam band, right? Is
Yeah.
that you can change your direction. So then Mason says, "Well, we're doing a different groove now,"
Yes.
and then we're all going to.
We have to
different
listen.
groove.
We have to listen.
And
It's
so
like we either
all
fall
about
apart or we follow him.
spontaneous improvisation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of a different sort of goal
Yep.
than what a lot of people pursue when they're
Yeah.
when they're trying to make music in a band setting.
Yeah.
But I think that it's more fun this way. And I
Definitely.
think it's more fun for everybody involved, including the audience. And because it's spontaneous and improvised, I mean, you'll hear the same songs played, but they'll never be played the same way twice. And
You
so
never know
that
what you're
way,
gonna get.
your audience, when they come back, they'll never get the same show at
No,
all.
they'll never get
It's
the
just
same
always
show.
a fresh slate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start off something new.
Mhm. Yeah, you should really check out Santana. Whenever I think my favorite guitarist from that period, most people think Hendrix and Clapton. I immediately go to Carlos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
His album Abraxas is
Yeah.
is pretty spectacular.
Definitely.
Very. Yeah.
if you're a fan of Santana's style, then Jerry Garcia would definitely be another. He's the most similar guitar player I can think of to Santana.
Yeah, that's
And-
very true.
And he's the guitar player for the Grateful Dead, of course, and that's who we
Primarily take our influence and style from and inspiration.
yeah.
mhm. Another
So,
guitarist.
so they're quite similar.
Yeah, another guitarist you can check out is John McLaughlin. He's not a rock guitarist; he's a jazz guitarist, and
Yeah.
he played in the Miles Davis album, Bitches Brew.
He
And-
did. He did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's one spectacular record.
So, funnily enough that you say that, because I think you could somewhere on the spectrum of Bitches Brew to Abraxas is the Grateful Dead in varying sorts of flows right in between there. And what another thing that makes this band so spectacular is there's the common denominator of the Grateful Dead's style and thinking and understanding of music, and we all have different elements from different genres to incorporate into this. So like Mason has said, for example, he's very like a lot of technical almost metal type things, like Tool, for
Yeah, I
example.
come from like a lot of metal background in my drum playing, and then I moved over into a lot of jazz funk fusion,
Right.
and that came to let me do more technical things and just give me a bigger toolbox, and so then I just started playing with genres, and so I mean, was you could just build up the skill and you can move it around. And
Nice.
now, because I never used to play blues too either before, because that's a big
Yeah.
thing we do too.
Blues.
Yeah,
Blues, we
very blues.
swingy.
Think of that.
And I never really ever played that style before this band, but it just fell perfectly into place, and it all just clicked so easily.
Meanwhile, I started as a jazz and blues bassist in a school band, actually. So coming into this, I wasn't really sure what to expect because I'd never really done that much of like rock bass or anything like that, or even like, what you would think of as like pop bass. But yeah, it ended up being like feeling really good when we started jamming together because it was a lot of blues bass lines, a lot of like the scales I was used to, a lot of the rhythms. So that was really cool. And I think jazz is a really great background for bass because it makes you think outside of the box a lot more.
Good
Jazz-
background for anything.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
jazz
yes.
is,
For musicians, jazz is fantastic. It's kind of like you start everywhere. You start with the whole scale, nothing is really too out there. You go with chromatics a lot.
Mhm.
And then for every other genre, you've kind of got a really good foundation.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think when compared to when you compare jazz and rock and roll, I think the role of the bass is more prominent, even though every rock song has a bass line, but somewhere like along the line, the bass line in every rock song gets lost, and
Yeah.
you get caught up in the vocals and the
It's like you'd miss it
guitar.
if it wasn't there, but you're
Yeah.
not hearing it when it is.
Yeah, of course.
and then think of like a jazz record, like a Waltz for Debbie, where it's just a drummer, a pianist, and a bassist.
Yeah.
And then Scott LaFleur, who's the bassist on that record, partners with Bill Evans, and it is like it's an interplay. The piano is the same instrument speaking. It's like a conversation. It's a musical conversation between the three instruments, and it would be very each instrument gone away would be equally as devastating. Not that it's not that case all the time, of course, but the jazz role certainly um, alludes to a more prominent bass line.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, I love Bill Evans, by the way. I think that recording in Kind of Blue, right? Blue and Green, that was his
Yeah.
doing, and it's just mesmerizing.
Mhm.
I hear one of you guys mentioned the band Tool. Which one? I think it's Mason.
Yeah.
It's they're coming to Budapest around June.
Was that right? I didn't know that they were going on a tour.
Yeah, I think they're touring. I've seen like advertisement posters that they're coming here.
Right.
Unfortunately, the tickets are way too expensive for me.
Yeah.
That's how it
That's
is.
valid,
These
yeah.
tickets are crazy.
It's brutal.
For
So,
me, you gotta get out there.
I wonder if you guys are frequent like concert attendees. If so,
I
do you think
wish.
that?
Not a whole lot of concerts here, to be
No.
honest.
So where
Okay.
we live, we really need to,
Mhm.
for any sort of household name, we need to travel.
Well, okay, so actually I take that back completely. There are concerts here, but they're just not like Tool would never come here, for
Yeah.
example. Like
Yeah.
Any of the bigger names.
There's a beautiful music scene here, but the chances of you have heard some of the artists that come here is quite slim.
Yeah.
and the scene for the type of I mean, now we do enjoy the local music scene, but the type of genre that we specifically are interested in isn't super present here.
No, I think we're some of the first ones to really be doing that, especially on, main stages. So that's been interesting. I feel like the other bands we play shows with, we have a more prominent, like heavier scene, like a lot of metal, grunge, and then on the other side of things, it's more like Celtic, traditional,
Yes.
Irish, and folk. So we're showing them something new, and it's been going really well for us so far. But it's definitely, yeah, I don't know much else out there that's like us in Newfoundland.
I see. So, if you guys want to see like a big concert, where would be the closest city?
Toronto?
Montreal.
Montreal, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, nothing happens in Halifax, does it?
It
Sometimes,
can.
but not.
Queens of the Stone Age is playing in Halifax.
Ooh.
But it is a lot more few and far between.
There are lots
Now,
of concerts.
now
to
that
watch
being
now.
said, like
Concerts, too.
sometimes people come here, and
Yeah.
but like not very.
Carly Rae
I think
Jepsen was here.
We had the Lumineers here.
Lumineers,
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of them are Canadian artists.
Yes.
If they're not from Canada, that they're probably very old.
We had Alanis Morissette this summer.
Alanis Morissette was
Yeah.
here, but she's from Canada.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But
Headley
and she
was here. They were
Yeah.
Canadian.
so they don't really get out to us.
Yeah.
But you know, we're lost on a lot of world maps anyway, so
That's true.
so it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to matter.
Well, you
But,
guys are certainly not lost on my world map.
Oh,
Awesome.
hey.
There you go.
Console you for a bit. So tell me about the name of the band.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well,
Fun.
the Paper Canoes, it comes from a lyric from the Grateful Dead song Cosmic Charlie.
Yeah.
And
I've got a paddle for your paper canoe.
yeah, I
Mm.
bought you a paddle for your paper canoe. And now that's a really great song. I'm not really going to get into the song though, but the name itself, you can sort of think about it as, well, a boat made of paper. It's gonna kind of like, I mean, now we didn't, the name is kind of the name, but there are a lot of ways that you could interpret it, I would say. Like, you know, I mean, the boat could be kind of like a vessel, and then anything, you know, like the physical world is, you know, going to dissolve into the ocean. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we're all kind of paper canoes. The band itself is kind of a paper canoe, I suppose.
It's beautifully obscure and trying to think of the right word, arbitrary enough that it could mean a lot of things that you could want it to mean.
Yeah. It's good to leave things up for interpretation in music. I think
Mhm.
it's cool because it's different. It's like people will be like, huh, what's that about? It's like it's a canoe, but it's paper. Does that work? I don't know. But I think the main thing for us, we went through a big journey when looking for a name, but I think the main thing we wanted was something that was reminiscent of some of the artists we were covering and also the genre in general, like the psychedelic sort of aspect of it. So yeah, the Paper Canoes, we that name was fit really well for us.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a rather poetic image, and I would say a rather
Yeah.
Eastern image. Of course, you know, there was a time when those who are involved in the psychedelic rock scene, they were exploring Eastern philosophy and mysticism. So there
Yeah.
may be some crossover
And
to what you guys
I'm
are
very
doing.
much carrying on that tradition.
Yeah, keep keeping it going.
Yeah, well, I mean, in school, I'm studying philosophy with a minor in religious studies, and mainly what I'm interested there is Eastern religion and spirituality. You know,
Mhm.
Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. You know, and I'm really fascinated by it all, and yeah, I mean, it's what I'm pursuing.
Mhm. Yeah, you might find it interesting to know that in every like big name religion, there's always a tradition of mysticism. It's from people who believe that there's a realm outside of the material world that can be accessible, and if you can access that, then it will open up a new world for you. And they believe that that world is more real than this one, and
Yeah.
it exists
Yeah.
in, you know, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and Buddhism,
And a lot of that
I
comes
think
through with
Hinduism
the
too.
Platonic influence too, right? That's
Yeah.
that's Plato's whole thing, and then Christianity adopted that, and I'm very much on board, you know, in the conversation between is there that kind of world and is there not that kind of world? I definitely think that there is. This is the not real reality, and the real reality is the you know, the world of forms, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. So I suppose there's a kind of poetry inherent in the rock and roll genre. You know, it can be quite hard to detect. Like if you are, say, a thrash metal group, then it'd be tough to detect the poetry there. But it exists there, and you're kind of touching into it. I think psychedelic rock may be incredibly poetic.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, the psychedelic experience is synonymous with the spiritual experience in a lot of ways, you know. They definitely can't be separated from each other. And I mean, and that's true, and that's even that when you look at religion and stuff, I mean, you look at Hinduism with Soma and the whole spirituality has always been, you know, very closely tied with psychedelics and the psychedelic experience and the psychedelic, what's the word, lifestyle. Not that they're necessary for each other, but there's no escaping it really.
Yeah, and both of those are very closely linked with music as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind
and
of, it's kind of a tie between the two a lot of the time too.
yeah, and I'm thinking about the poet Allen Ginsberg. I have a collection of his works in my bookshelf. I haven't read it in a while, but yeah, I think he was kind of a precursor to the kind of philosophy that is embodied by the 60s rockers, like the Dead.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. He was definitely a player on the scene.
Hmm. Yeah. So any of you guys are familiar with his poetry?
The name is definitely familiar to me, and I'm sure that I've probably seen some of it, but I can't really make the connection right now.
Yeah, I haven't read any of it, but I generally read about, you know, just the time in general, so I can't avoid his name coming up
Yep.
a lot.
I think
But I haven't actually sat down and read anything of his.
his most famous poem is one titled Howl, and it's quite epic. It's a lot packed in that one. But if you're looking for a shorter poem, I think there's one called A Supermarket in America. Um, he carries a very anti-materialist attitude. I think that has existed in American life for some time, and only in his case, he's much more, I would say, both ways, he's much more mystical and much more bombastic. Yeah. So, tell me about so for your respective instruments, who do you look up to as your like inspiration? Either someone famous or someone not so famous.
Go first.
Sure. Well, I mean, as a guitar player, it would be impossible for me to not say Jimi Hendrix here, especially, you know, as a psychedelic
Right there.
rock guitar player. I mean, it'd just be ludicrous. I mean, I take inspiration from a whole variety. I mean, I'm really interested in like the blues of the 20s and 30s and following the tradition of the blues as it evolves over time. I mean, yeah, so the blues generally, but also I'm really into shoegaze and things like that, and just any any guitar player that can make it feel like they're kind of transporting you somehow. And music generally should feel like some kind of transportation.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the Grateful Dead is the greatest band of all time, because they are, I mean, they've said it themselves, they're in the transportation business. That's what they do. They're trying to take you somewhere else. And they do a great job of it because, you know, it's like they're driving some kind of machine. And that's why I really look up to Jerry Garcia in that respect.
His guitar playing kind of sounds like he's toying with the edge of a cliff, and you don't know what's on the other side of the cliff. This is just my interpretation of it. It sounds like he's kind of just dancing at the edge of something, and it's very mystical and beautiful in that sort of way. Um, and I don't really get that from. Not that I'm the guitar player. I lead that for this man right here. We wouldn't have a very good band if I was the guitar player. But I have a good ear for it just from listening to a lot of things, and some of the emotion that he can and put in through his music is it is otherworldly. So that I would say that is a huge influence for yourself, and I can hear that a lot in your playing.
Oh yeah, I mean, Dead cover band.
There you
It's
go,
Jerry
right?
freaking
Yeah.
Garcia.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's the man himself.
So for some of my piano playing influences, in the past few years or so, I've really taken a deep dive into the jazz world from the 50s and 60s. Some of my favorites would be including Bill Evans and Oscar Peterson. Their playing to me is the most serene and is the most gentle, and I'm very I kind of have two sides of myself into the way that I play. There's a very aggressive side and there's a very gentle. And in terms of the gentleness, Those two piano players encapsulate a mystique emotion to me the best, and some of their style and their rhythm of playing and their concept of what note to go to for this feeling and their kind of cadence with that is really magical to me. So that's kind of like the jazz or slower side. And like I said, we do play a lot of Grateful Dead songs and a lot of blues songs. We kind of morph genres into an amalgamation of music, so to speak.
Yeah.
So for a lot of like the blues, the heavier stuff, the rock stuff, I look up to a pianist named Jeff Schmenti. He is the pianist for the ongoing band Dead and Company, which is an iteration of the Grateful Dead after Jerry Garcia, who features Bob Weir, who is a co-frontman for the band, Oteil Burbridge, who was the bassist for the Allman Brothers Band later into their career. And his piano playing to me is he's the best piano player of all time in the way he can speak with his instrument. Like his songs sound like they are telling a story. And piano is not the easiest instrument for that emotion to be conveyed. I don't find, and some of his blues and his way of phrasing chords is otherworldly, and that's who I try and take a lot of my like little tricks. And I'll hear, oh, I've never heard of this approach to this, and it's like it has a lot to do with his cadences.
And what's interesting about that is that he kind of, a lot of the time, will sort of try to imitate the guitar player of the band, right?
That's true, yeah.
And so then what you find in music a lot of the time is the best guitar players, and Jimi Hendrix, for example, they'll be called the best guitar players because they learn how to play the guitar as if it were a piano. And then vice versa, if you can play the piano like it's a guitar, like it's a lead guitar, you know, and you can get the same kind of driving emotion from it, then that means that you really mastered the instrument, because you're not just doing what the instrument does by nature. You're able to force your own voice, or not force, but give your own voice, no matter what that voice is, to that specific instrument, no matter what that instrument is.
And it leads for some nice trading off in soloing and jamming, because when you have a guitar player kind of with a pianistic approach and vice versa, it leads to some pretty interesting melodies and conversations.
Oh, me.
Yeah, you're right.
Your influences.
My influences. Honestly, I gotta go back to Tool. Danny Carey, for me, has been a massive influence in my playing style, my development. I like to go back to the 10,000 Days album a lot. One that sticks out to me is just through the entire band is right into, it's a very, it tells a long story, and it lets you visualize that story just in your mind, and you feel your way through that. And it's a story about man coming through evolution, right? And they find their tools, and ignorance comes in, and they build their way up and tear themselves down, right? And the way that they portray that through their instruments is, what to me, like you said, is just unworldly. And I took a lot of influence from him and his technicality. He had a lot more of a looser playing style, like to break out into sorts of jams and solos, and it always traded off. There was always switches of his flow and his rhythm, and I just found it mesmerizing, and I was just astounded by it, and I really looked up to him. And I'm not super familiar with a lot of blues players, but some that I do get an influence on. I just love the swing of Stevie Ray's violin drummer,
Yeah.
and Mickey
Double
Hart.
Trouble.
Mickey
Yeah.
Hart, he's
Yeah.
a savage.
He's sometimes like a mix of Danny and Mickey, and it's very interesting because you wouldn't think that those two. I guess you would, but I don't know.
And I will
It's
say
cool.
for yourself, you have an insane ability to just know and like
Yeah.
your feel for the instrument.
His
Yeah,
ear
I
is
feel like
pretty
I play my instrument pretty well, and so I get to just listen to you guys as well,
And
and
you'll know what to do.
yeah, like you said, having that conversation through the instruments, right, and going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get to do that a lot with you too, where you also have a lot more of a sense for like the rhythms and
Yeah.
changes and in a percussion sense, right?
Yeah.
And so then we get to have these
We
kind
do,
of trade-offs, right? And just the answering back and forth, I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear a lot of the time and hear them link up on things sometimes. And they'll be playing like, I'll play a beat, they'll be playing on the offbeat or something. And I think what Mason's really perfect for is a jam band because he can really like, you need a drummer who can really do everything and span genres and different feels. And he's just really on it. He hears something and just goes with it, gets right in the groove, which is so good.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess. Me, I guess for me, I know a lot more of my influences as a singer and stuff like that. I mean, that's my main instrument. I have been playing bass for a lot longer than I've been playing piano or guitar or anything like that. But I wasn't
Talented individual.
Thank you.
One man.
But I definitely lately, since I've been getting a lot more into bass, this is my first time playing bass in an actual band like this. Phil Lesh, of course, from the Grateful Dead, sticking with the theme. I think he's really incredible in the way that like there's absolutely nothing that's happening in the music that holds him down. You know, he takes, you know, the chords and the scales and whatever, and he definitely goes with it. There's nothing that's really out of place. But he can also take it anywhere, you know, he's doing, you know, 1 minute the bass line's walking and then it's gone and then it's back and it's like he's doing these little, I don't know if you can call it, yeah, like licks on the bass almost.
Absolutely.
And I feel like ever since I've been playing bass, I'll be the person to be like, hey guys, listen to the bass line. And for Dead songs, you can really do that. And there's a lot of conversation between the bass and guitar that I feel like me and Owen also mimic a lot. Everybody's talking to each other in the
That's
band
the
with their
thing too,
instruments.
having that prominent bass line, and because the bass is always kind of hidden, right? Like
It's true. It's
like
down
you
in all the
said,
mixes and it's
you don't
low.
notice it when it's there, but you miss it when it's gone.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
having that prominent bass and you can hear the melody and rhythm on that low end is just
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing to have into the band.
And in our band especially, because the bass lines that I'm playing, I'm not just playing root notes or keeping with the rhythm. I'm actually doing you know, I'm adding a counter melody almost for a lot of the things, which is very cool. I feel like I have a lot of freedom, and I feel like I take a lot of inspiration from Phil for that. So I would say he's definitely my number one for bass. Also, of course, Sir Paul McCartney. Like Beatles bass lines, you really can't beat them. Same thing, if you listen to any Beatles song and you look for the bass, it's like that's one of the feel-good elements. I believe that the bass is a really feel good instrument. You know, when you're listening to it, it helps you really get in the groove of things. And yeah, that's kind of what he does. And then I would also say Victoria DeAngelis, going a little bit more modern. Now I don't know how to say the band's name. It's either like Main Skin or something.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a different pronunciation, right?
They could be a Danish band. I'm
Man,
not sure.
I believe it's something like that. They've been doing really well in the past few years. They're kind of a definitely like more rock grunge band. And I just think she's really awesome. Definitely different from what I'm playing, but I think I take more so inspiration from her in like my mannerisms and my attitude towards it all. And and yeah, just like certain ways that I play, certain ways that I hold my instrument. So I think that's awesome, and I think it's very cool to, I guess, I love female bassists. Any band with a female bassist. Same thing like the Pixies.
Yeah.
Kim Deal is awesome. Some really iconic bass lines that they have as well. So yeah, I would say off the top of my head, those are four that I would say.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got to know a couple of really great young female guitarists from my doing this show, and one of them, and I think I'll send you her info. She actually recently got to meet Bob Weir from the Dead, and
Awesome.
Wow.
That is
quite
crazy.
fun. She's based in California, and she's like 16. so around your age group, I suppose.
Wow.
How much? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, she plays really well too. I shall send you her
You bet.
info later, and I think it's
Well,
quite
you should work your
inspiring.
magic again.
Yeah, I think it's quite inspiring, like me doing this show and me meeting people like you who I would presume are younger than me and are able to play music while I can only admire it from afar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's awesome that you're making connections with musicians like this. I love how many people you get in contact with from Newfoundland because we do have such a rich scene. And it's great. Musicians, a lot of the time, we love playing music, but we equally love talking about our music.
Absolutely.
So for someone to
There's
bring
no
us on here and
outlet
talk no,
Nobody wants to hear it.
no, it's like you go, you know, you go on a date and then it's like it's 2 hours later and they're like, oh my God, when is this girl gonna stop talking about bass players or something, right? So yeah, this is a fantastic opportunity. This is our first time doing any kind of interview or podcast.
Oh,
But yeah, it's a lot of fun because we love talking about this stuff. I mean, we could go on for days.
yeah.
I, for one, love to talk.
Me too.
Yeah, I certainly hope it won't be the last.
Yes, absolutely.
So today it's January the 20th, and I'm told that you guys have a show this evening.
We
That's
do.
bad.
Ew.
Yes.
At the Spirit Live Music Bar on Water Street.
Yeah.
St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, North
Yes.
America.
By the time this
2024.
airs,
Don't forget the
nobody will be able to what?
don't forget the postal code. It says.
Of course.
HOH.
The exact coordinates on the map.
Student land too.
The Smith.
The sense.
Yeah, we
What's
have
that?
a gig tonight at Spirit. It's a new bar that opened this summer actually.
Yeah.
And they're great because they their main goal is to have musicians that are doing something different, definitely, and people that are like different genres, different ethnicities, like all these different sort of things. The owner is awesome, a philosophy professor actually, and yeah, so
People.
I actually did a gig there back in August, and that was like fantastic. I didn't know what to expect, right? Because it's a new space. I sang some music, and while we were there, the energy was just fantastic. It felt very much like home immediately. And the band was offered a gig before we had even we played
Oh.
we played basically I was really mean and I was doing my gig and I was like, hey guys, do you want to do a song with me? And they were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Owen played my acoustic guitar. You actually had your instrument. You had a keyboard.
I did
You
have a
had,
keyboard.
like beer.
I had a
keg or something.
big old metal keg
Yeah.
and bongos and a cymbal laid on top of the keg.
And I sang and played no instrument, and I'm not the singer of the band, nor have I ever actually sung my favorite song all the way through, which is surprising. But it was definitely not a fantastic performance. But it was still, it was very fun. And I think what it did is it showed people how great our band's energy is. Like we really gel so well with each other. Anyway, this is their second time having us back, so they must enjoy us. And yeah, we've been playing a lot of shows lately, which we're very grateful for. It's been very fun.
Yes.
So any of you in the greater St. John's metro area, we start at 10. Spirit.
Yeah, they're not gonna see this.
They're
in
gonna
months.
see it a few months later.
Yeah.
All right. Any of you
Any
in
of
the
you
greater
time
St. John's
travelers.
area with a time machine. Thank you, Becky.
Well,
This summer at location TBA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram. There we go. That'll permeate throughout
Yes,
both
exactly.
space and time.
Unless
And
Instagram
get
gets
to our
deleted.
audience that way.
Awesome.
well, I certainly wish you the best of luck, and I will certainly be there in spirit, I suppose.
You should.
Nice.
Nice.
That'd
We'll
be
also
great.
be there at school.
We will be
We'll be
in.
there at
We will be
Spirit.
in the building at
Of spirit.
Of
Of
spirit.
spirit.
In spirit,
In
but
spirit.
also in body.
With you in spirit.
Yes.
In the Spirit
body.
Halloween building.
Halloween. That'd be a fun show. We should just like go to Spirit Halloween and set up, and they'll try to kick us out. We just keep playing. It'd be fun.
That's the
They're
spirit.
just all they're closing and we're still playing.
Yeah.
Let me go.
And right, for Becca specifically, I do know of from doing this show, a wonderful female bassist from Connecticut. She's also in a band, and I'm scheduled to interview her band in a few months' time. But I can send you her socials too. She's
Yes, I
also
would
quite
love that.
amazing.
I
Yeah,
love female bassists.
yeah, yeah. She
Don't need to
rocks.
sound so
Not like that, no.
like you're on the prowl.
I just like that we exist.
Said that too.
I feel like that there are a lot of men ones, and then when I like when women do things in
Yeah,
music, especially. It's
yeah,
pretty
of
cool.
course.
That's a hot take.
Hey man, listen,
I
don't be
I don't know.
problematic on a recording.
Oof. I didn't realize you got that. You got all that. I thought this was off the record.
Yeah,
I like that.
I've talked to a musician from Ontario just a few days ago, about like how women should not only be in music, but they should also fill in the roles and professions that are not related to performing, like sound engineering and producing and
Right.
publishing and
Definitely.
AR. I think that'd be a good idea.
Definitely, and I think we're seeing obviously a rise in it. I know some awesome sound engineers that are women that are now getting more jobs in like recording studios and stuff like that. So, but no, it definitely is. It's a very male dominated industry, and I feel like women are a lot of the performers. But you know, obviously, we need everybody in every job we can get, and that definitely includes women.
Of course. Right. So tell me about some of the music that you're listening to currently.
Ooh. Me, I guess I have the mic, so I get to talk first. Lately I've been listening to, well, listen to a mass amount of Grateful Dead, obviously. I listen to the album American Beauty pretty much every day.
Mhm.
And that's a little bit mainstream, but I just think it's a fantastic album, and I can never really get it out of my head, so I just have to keep listening to it. I've been listening to a lot of Hosier. The new album Unreal on Earth is awesome. And what
Repeat.
else? Yeah, right. No, it's fantastic. And what else for me? I know there's some new stuff. See, I have trouble off the top of my head because there's just always so much music. Um, what else am I listening to? I'm always listening to a lot of Fleetwood Mac too. Right now, I'm trying to go back and uncover some of the deep dives um, of their music, and it's interesting. I find out a lot of covers that they've done that I didn't know as much before.
First half Fleetwood or second half Fleetwood?
I want to say
Two
first
different
half.
bands.
I want to say first half, but then there's so much I love from second half that I can't. Like, it's hard.
Surprised that you would say first
Oh, there's just a lot of things. Anyway, I'll get into that with you later. But um, Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and other sorts of love songs. I've been lucky enough to be able to study that album for I'm doing a blues study right now for my voice course. And so I've been doing a couple of songs from that album, which is very cool. And then last one for me is Joni Mitchell. I'll always listen to Joni.
Mhm.
That's up to you.
I could say that you sound half similar to Joni.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, I like to listen to a lot of different music. I mean, primarily Grateful Dead. And then, if not that, I mean, there's kind of two lanes. Either like I go kind of 60s to, like early 70s, kind of just psychedelic and blues and stuff, and that, or I'll be in the 90s alternative, or, like Neutral Milk Hotel and Radiohead and that sort of genre too. Basically anything that's good. The microphones are good. Yeah, pretty much anything that I feel like it has a philosophical kind of meaning. Like the lyrics
Yeah.
are the most important thing for me.
I'm the same way. I'm really a lyric
Yeah,
guy.
I tend to agree on lyrics, unless it like for like instrumental songs have an exception, just for sheer nature of the story that they're telling. Like it's kind of a different game then. So
Well,
I
if they don't have lyrics, you can't judge them on
that's
the
what I'm
lyrics.
saying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a lane that I do listen to some instrumental music, some like Godspeed You, Black Emperor, for example. Once again, lame answer. I kind of listen to everything. Lately this season, it's been a lot more. If it's not Grateful Dead, Dead and Company, psychedelia consumption, there's a lot of. I'm taking a big folk direction this winter, so there's a lot of Bon Iver, a lot of Fleet Foxes. Father John Misty is a very nice
Yeah.
philosophical singer-songwriter. He knows how to put a pen and paper together. Dawes, the band Dawes, they are very underrated. Mid 2000s and currently still making music, and they have some beautiful lyricism, beautiful vocals. Another big influence on my playing and on my life is the Flaming Lips. I had the privilege to see them last year. I traveled to Montreal and got front row, shook the lead singer Wayne Coyne's hand, and some of their music, lyric wise, story wise, production wise, is quite extravagant to me. So those are my like more modern currently listenings, and jazz. If I don't really have a clear cut picture of what I would like to play, jazz kind of gets put on. So like Art Blakey, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, that type of thing also is a default for me, of course, and that's a lot of my musical influence too. So it's almost like studying in a sense. You listen to what they do, and then the music aspect of knowing how it gets played is
Yeah.
it opens up a real different way of listening to music that you don't get otherwise. Like I've always had the opinion that guitar players will appreciate guitar solos more than non-guitar players.
Oh yeah.
BS.
Not true.
Not true. I'm
Me
reaching
recently-
right into your soul, man.
Yeah, recently I've been listening to some more. I've been keeping up with some modern the new up and coming jazz fusion artists. There's one I
Do you like
showed
Weather
you a while
Report?
ago. What?
Do you like Weather Report?
I don't know if actually.
You should listen to some Weather Report.
It was
Cameron Green.
Joshua Cameron Graves. Yeah, that was just about to say it. It was Joshua Miles. I think it was.
Yes.
Oh yeah, is that the
Superman. Queen in a
Yeah.
Superhighway.
yeah.
So I've been following him, and yeah, Cameron Graves and Yellow Jackets. Now they're
Yeah,
not
they're
Superman;
good.
they're a bit earlier 2000s, but also still a phenomenal band. And I'm more one for instrumentals. I never took lyrics too very deeply, and it was never one that I um uh looked into. I was never much of a singer, and of course the lyrics to made part of the song, and it tells a story, of course. But I was always one for more of the feel of the music and the style, and just
Classic
all
Boland.
instruments. Yeah. So it is. But I love the instruments and the music and how it's all just portrayed and projected out,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's what
Just
you
gotta make it-
need. You need
Yeah.
the feel of it. That's
Yeah.
what's
The
important.
vibes.
So that's really what it is for me.
And it shows.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it
I'll
is.
listen to some old stuff now. I've been keeping up on some 80s Dead now.
Yeah.
Getting into that. I just love the 70s era of Dead, especially the earlier 70s. I just love it, the flow.
Yeah.
It's
Me too.
It feels good.
psychedelic, jammy, and it's loose, right? And it's unpredictable, and it's just entertaining to listen to.
Yeah.
But it's also entertaining to listen to Grateful Dead off the whack on a bunch of coke, just playing at a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
And-
Yes,
and-
yeah.
and-
Because they get up on the
and-
stage and they're just like,
Oh my god.
and killing.
Especially in the later years, there's a lot more cocaine influence.
Love the
tempo is
fucking-
twice the speed.
Yeah. You can tell the era. Like it would be a fun game to play one time to try to guess the era based on, and I know
Yeah, based on feeling the tempo.
yeah. Be like, okay, how much coke are they on in this one?
Yeah.
But the real key is dosing before the show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Doctors don't want you to know this trick.
Yeah, it would be fun to know, fun to play that game when the album Rumors come on, like whenever you listen to that album. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, anyone can grab this. So according to you, what separates a good rock song from a not so good one?
Dynamics drive.
I think that you need to have a reason for making it,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing. In terms of just art, there are kind of, you'll encounter largely two groups. You know, there's kind of things that are made, you know, like art that's made for its own sake. And then there's art that's made for what? I mean, social
For
acceptance and
consumption.
money and just generally
It's like
consumption.
the
Yeah.
algorithms. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I mean that's what people mean when they say to sell out. Is that art should be stem from, you know, I have an artistic vision and I'm going to actualize that in the world, and that should be the only thing that you're thinking. And if it is, then you can tell. It doesn't matter what genre you're playing.
It's true.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's just the difference between good music and not good music is, do you have a reason to be playing it?
There's an energy in it that
Right.
that people can pick up on it, even if they don't know what exactly it is. It's like you can tell when music is kind of from the soul versus from like a shallow part of the brain just trying to make music for other people.
Yeah, you just, I mean, with art especially, right? It's vulnerable, so the audience can see right through you into your intention, more or less. And if they can't, then you haven't done your job right anyway.
Mhm.
But that's
That's
just
a
my
way of putting
opinion.
it.
But I'm a little bit harsh when it comes to defining art, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know whether any of you are cinephiles or people like movies, but so recently I watched the film Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock classic. Um, and I also watched the remake made almost 30 or so, 40 or so years later by Gus Van Sant. It was released in 1998. So the remake followed the original classic beat by beat. There were a few alterations, but they used the same script and the shots are recreated in the same manner. But of course, the remake um, did not capture me, the audience, as much as the original. I think I can still remember the parts in the original that that kept me on the edge of my seat, whereas the remake doesn't do that. Um, now, I suppose what I'm getting at is like a good movie, a good song. It's not predictable, and also it's not what you call paint by numbers.
Yeah.
There's this one adage where a kid plays a magnificent like Chopin piano piece, and the his mentor says to him, "Well, you know how to play the notes. Well, let's see how you play the music."
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I suppose what I'm getting at here is um, playing the music is not just about playing the notes. There are other elements to it too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of the jam band that
Yes.
we're doing, is that, I mean, there are bands that will play a song, they'll learn the song between them, and each part, they know exactly which notes they're going to play for the entire song.
The notes
That's
are
a lot of,
honestly a byproduct of our emotion.
yeah, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lot of bands, they like, it's written out, I'm going to play this exact string of notes for this entire song. Like, that's how it's going to be. I know exactly what I'm going to do. And we get up there and we say, all right, this is generally how we know it goes. We have a basic understanding of how our instruments work. Go nuts.
And
Yeah.
it sounds a lot more daunting than it sounds a lot more foolish than it actually is, just because we know within ourselves how to play with such emotion, and
Yeah.
that's really it's more of an emotionful expression through music.
Exactly, because it's coming right out from you, right? It's not something that you wrote down on paper. This is actually,
It's just in the moment. You are grabbing something from the universe or from yourself and kind of putting it out. And another thing is too, the great thing about being in a jam band with each other is we get to feed off each other's emotions and energy. And that's how kind of, even though we don't know what we're gonna do, we know in the moment where we're going, and we know, okay, Owen's playing this, so I'm gonna play this because this will sound good with this, and then you're gonna play this and you're gonna play that. We really feed off each other. And yeah, as musicians, it's important to equally listen to what's going on inside you and listen to what's going on around you, rather
Yes.
than just, think about what you should be doing.
And you're
Less
exactly
think, more
right.
feel. Yeah.
Right. And so that's why you should never paint by numbers, right? You're doing what Becca's saying and drawing from all these things. You're not drawing from just I know how the song goes, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not really, well, it's not playing music as much as it is like reciting music.
Yeah, it's what separates a good artist from a great artist.
It's a different talent set altogether.
Yeah, it's a different game.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm reminded of that quote. I think it's attributed to Miles Davis. I think he says, "It takes 30 years for me to play like me." So it's alludes to how perhaps early in his career he wanted to play like the musicians he admired, and over time he has to cultivate his own sound.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Miles Davis, honestly, is kind of a big, in a way, a fountainhead of this entire thing is the psychedelic jazz thing, because Miles Davis would get his band together. And they are doing this exact thing. They don't know what's going to happen. They get up and they improvise, and they just go based on whatever Miles does.
Yeah, and their albums that are meticulous masterpieces are just one take sessions.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not written out ever. He just sits down and writes them, and that's jazz, and that's what music should be, or live music anyway.
And what's hilariously ironic is that a lot of the Grateful Dead's influences were Miles Davis.
And those jazz guys like that, because it's all about the improvisation and how the band communicates with each other, as opposed to like the rock genre.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of makes it a thing on its own. I think a conversation I was actually having today with one of my bass props is musicians go through this arc where it's like, okay, how do I figure out how to play? How do I figure out how to play with other people? And then once you go through that, then it's how do I figure out how to play like me? How do I step away from, these influences? And that's why for a long time when people asked me who my influences were, I was like, or they would be like, who do you like? And I would be like, name all these artists that don't sound like me at all as a songwriter or performer. And I think the reason why it's so important to take that extra step and figure out your sound and figure out, what you're going to take from these influences versus what is completely your own and what is coming from your emotions rather than what you think is good. That's going to separate you from, the massive stream of people in the industry. Being unique is one of the best things that you can do. Whether you're being unique as a solo artist or being unique as a group. It's really all about finding your own sound and taking everything that you know and everything that you feel inside and putting that in your music.
That's wonderful. All right, so a couple of final questions. Do you guys plan to record music anytime soon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, at some point.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we can reconvene whenever that recorded piece of music comes out.
Well,
you'll be among the first to know, I guarantee.
For us, I think it's gonna be a while on releasing music. Right now we're primarily focused on like performing live. However, we jam a lot, and that hopefully at some point will then turn into making recordings, maybe, writing songs that we want to recite, stuff like that. And yes, hopefully I'm sure you will hear some Paper Canoes original music someday. But yeah, right now
we got to foster the live returning audience.
Yes.
Right, in order to have a kind of platform to stand on.
And so we're mostly, I'd say, a live jam band right now. So that's where people should look for us right now.
Yes. And downtown.
Yes, and then look forward to our future when they can listen to us on their headphones and stuff.
The future is bright for the Canoes.
Absolutely.
I have a feeling, and if you are listening to this, then you get the first insider. This is your first insider tip, right? Like, come and get my autograph now.
Oh my!
Specifically his.
Specifically mine. Well, we don't know, but just in case something were to happen.
Yeah, come to our shows.
You never know. If you get in now, you could be a gold member.
Yes, one of the OG fans.
Yeah.
We'll be like, hey, I know that guy. He was one of the 4 people at this show. No, we have more than 4 people that show up.
Oh,
but
we got swarms of
this
massive.
This audience member number 3. Yeah, you really liked when we played this song, didn't you? Yeah. So come be drunk audience member number 3 or sober, whatever you're into.
Number 3, yeah, we actually really do value you, please.
Yes.
I don't see you tonight.
Time travelers.
Yeah.
All the time travelers out there.
I see you.
All right. Well, I look forward to it.
On that note,
Yeah. So final question. I know Becca, since you've been on this show, I've asked you this one before, but you're welcome to take on it again. So for Becca and the band, what does music mean to you?
Self-expression. I think it's
That's
just
what I said.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's a different language, right? And it's a different way to let anything loose, let anything like it's a different way of feeling. And it's an aspect that I think it's important to me in my life, and it's not something that everybody gets to experience in their lifetime. And if you can uh, seek out that experience, it is it's a beautiful way to think. It's a different perspective changer, well beyond the vast of music, just in the way of thinking and the way of lifestyle. It's a beautiful way to feel and a beautiful way to express yourself, and I think that's what it all boils down to.
All right.
yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that, but I'd say,
you kinda said
even
it.
even in addition to that, I think that there's something that now I don't know if I speak for everyone, but kind of spiritual, about it. Like you were saying, in all these traditions, there's a mystical kind of aspect. Well,
Yeah.
I think that that's the case in music too, and I think that the point of it is, you're supposed to lose yourself when when you're improvising, when you're jamming together. You're supposed to lose yourself in and kind of become a single working entity, right? And that kind of dissolution is a spiritual process, and it can be if you know how to make it that way, and you know how to tap into that. And I think that it not that I'm going to define for you what a soul is, but if there's something like a soul, it's good for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Very accurate. You have anything to say?
I mean, damn, you guys said a lot of it. I mean, it is a one of the biggest words, just self-expression. It's a different way to feel. It's a different way to think, and I don't know. Well, for me, it's therapeutic and it's
Yeah.
expressive, right? And I find comfort in just listening, playing music, and it's all that lives in my head, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All I see, hear, feel is just music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I don't know what
It's
I would be without
great
music. I don't think I'd be like even half a person. It's so strange. I feel like it just runs through my veins at this point. Like I wake up music, I go to sleep music, everything in between. And that's because it's so amazing. I've had to make it my life. You don't really get a choice when you're a musician a lot of the time. Maybe some people do. Maybe some people are kind of caught in the limbo of like, I'm kind of a musician, but then there are other things that take priority in my life. But then a lot of us have just kind of been so sucked into it that you're like, okay, I'm born, I hear music, now this is everything. And those people are lucky. And we're very lucky.
And especially they're lucky if they are lucky enough to, be in the company of other people who feel similarly.
Yeah.
About similar, styles of music, for example.
Well, I think I'm always saying to Owen, I'm like, the fact that like there are 4 people on the
I know.
little baby island of Newfoundland that are all like really talented. I think that we are all quite talented in our instruments. We all play the right instruments that we need. We all like and know each other. And then we all like the Grateful Dead. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing that we're all together. It really does feel like a kind of universe thing that we get to play this type of music with each other. Yeah,
think that's
pretty amazing.
Very grateful.
I think that's a
Yeah.
wonderful note to end
Not
on.
yet.
So, Owen, Evan, Becca, and Mason from the Paper Canoes, thank you all for being on this program.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having
so
us.
much.
It's
It's
been
a
great.
pleasure to meet you.
Gentlemen.